All right. Hello everyone, and welcome to BC Economics, Unit 1, Area Study 1, Thinking Like an Economist. If you don't know me, my name is Sean Bryan. I'm an economics teacher. I've been an economics teacher for 7 years, and I've been putting videos online for every part of BC Economics to try and help people out to do as well in economics as they can. Part of the reason I do this is because I find a lot of the economics curriculum in textbooks and the way it's taught in old schools is not pitched at young people. And so hopefully I'll be able to present things to you in a way that you understand and help build you up so you can smash out economics in year 11 and in year 12. So without any further ado, let's get right into it. So one of the first things and one of the first tips I'll give to people in economics is that you need to know your key knowledge and key skills. So all this comes directly from VCAR study design. If you don't know where that is, I'm always surprised how many students don't know where the study design is, but I'll throw a link to it in the description of this video. But this is your bread and butter. Like, this tells you everything you need to know, and the key skills tell you how those questions are going to be asked. So you shouldn't be learning anything that really isn't put on here, because you need to know just what's on here and nothing else in terms of SACs assessments. It's more important once you get to year 12, but it's really good to get into the habit of knowing what's on there now so you can be better prepared. One thing that's going to be a little bit trickier for these videos is we don't just go in order of these key knowledge. Things are going to mix and mash up a little bit with how I think they're going to make the most sense, because a lot of these things pair together. And also, after we get through these dot points in the first couple of videos, the next couple are going to look at the next ones, which are the behavior of consumers and the behavior of businesses. But you don't want area study one thinking like an economist. It's all the basic concepts in economics, like what economics is, what economics does, and hopefully it's pretty theory heavy to start with, to be honest. Area study 2 I much prefer because it's a little bit more application based, but it's going to give you all the building blocks you need to do well in economics as we go through. So what we're going to be looking at today is we're going to look at a little bit of just a general overview of what economics is. We're going to look at material, non-material living standards, what they are, what they mean, and we're also going to look at the meaning and significance of positive and normative economics, and a little bit of just the difference between micro and macroeconomics, because although it is really listed here, this goes back on what I said before, it is really important to know the difference, because what we're going to look at in semester 1 is all really about the microeconomic side of things, and then in semester 2 we start looking at the macro side of things. And it's going to be important, especially for year 12, to know that. One thing I tend to do with a lot of year 11 stuff is I sneak in a little bit of year 12 content to try and just like, not to do much of it, but just to like make students aware of it. So then when you get to it in year 12, it's less scary. But start off with big major question: what is economics about? So hopefully you've got some kind of idea if you have chosen the subject to do. But some of you would have come in blind. You would have just been like, economics, cool, that sounds good. I want to do a commerce degree. Let's roll. Let's do it. Some of you would have done year 10 commerce, where there would have been parts of economics. In other subjects, like in year 9, 10, even 7 and 8, you should have done some economics. But you'll find a lot of people, when they get to year 11, they've just jumped into economics and they want to see what happens. So economics is a study of how we use our limited resources wisely and in ways that help make individuals and society better off so that living standards can increase. So really important thing there are limited resources. And one thing, a simpler way of saying this is economics is all about how we use our limited resources to satisfy our unlimited needs and wants. I'm going to get into that in a little bit further when in the next lesson we look at relative scarcity, but unlimited needs and wants, to give you a bit of an overview of that, we have needs, like there are certain things we need to survive, but our wants are unlimited. As soon as we satisfy a want, a new one appears. So, for example, at the moment, it's the third video I've recorded today because I've done a few other things for year 12 Echo. I want coffee. But the problem is, I'm going to go and buy a coffee after I do this video, and when I come back, I'll drink it, and then when I finish it, I'll probably want another coffee, because wants are unlimited. As soon as you satisfy one want, another one appears, and some of you will be, right now when I'm recording this, it's November in 2020, some of you are probably trying to get a PS5. Even though you really want a PS5, when you get that PS5, suddenly you'll have new wants. You'll want to get new games, you'll want to get extra controllers, and all those kind of things that mean your wants are unlimited. So economics looks at how we allocate our resources to maximize people's unlimited needs and wants. We're never going to meet all of them, but we're going to try and make the combination of production that's going to make everyone as well off as possible. And we're going into that in way more detail next lesson, but that's a little bit of a heads up of where that's going. Then we look at living standards. Living standards are something that are going to be all through year 11 and 12 economics. Every single topic links back to living standards. If you do year 11 business, it's kind of like CSR. Every topic has corporate social responsibility, but in this case, it is living standards. We split living standards into two different things, material and non-material. Material living standards refer to all the physical and tangible things we own that hold value. Essentially, what you have or what you physically have, I tend to relate it to. So some examples of things that improve our material living standards are things like a car, a house, TV, our income, anything you can tangibly have that has monetary value tends to be referred to as our material living standards. Our non-material living standards are more about the qualitative aspects of life, so the things that impact our quality of life or well-being. So things like education levels, your sense of happiness, crime rates, healthcare, stress levels. And so stress is always some of my year 12's favorite example to use when they're talking about non-material living standards. But often in economics, you get questions of like, how does blank impact living standards? And usually you have to talk about material and non-material and give some examples and how they interrelate. Getting into more detail with that in later topics, but that's a general overview of how living standards work. Then we've got two main branches of economics that we're going to look at. So in the first semester, we're going to look at what's called microeconomics, which looks at all the small bits or small parts that make up the overall Australian economy. So it's concerned with things that affect the operation of individual businesses, like production costs, prices received, profitability of particular firms, industries, markets, or sectors in the economy. So like things like if you looked at the market for beef, how that's operating, how much demand there is, how much supply there is, have there been any issues there? Are the prices fair? It's a particular market, particular firms, and looking at their operation. Then we get into macroeconomics, which looks more into a bird's eye view of the whole economy to look at the larger views, larger flows that affect overall economic conditions. So here it's got example booms and recessions. Don't love that overall, even though these are my slides, so I'm really just judging myself. Things like the unemployment rate gives us an idea of how the economy is going overall. The economic growth rate, and also inflation. These are major things that we look at in macroeconomics in year 12 and also a little bit in year 11. And so it's good to look at these now. These are three things that we look at because they impact the whole economy and give us a really good indicator of how the overall economy of Australia is performing. And the last couple of things we're going to look at are the significance of positive and normative economics. So we had microeconomics and macroeconomics in the last slides, and now positive and normative economics, which are two different schools of thought that come around economics. So normative economics is all about the fact that sometimes we make our decisions based totally on personal factors with no sense of rationality. So in general, economics likes to assume that consumers act rationally. Acting rationally means that you are going to be behaving in a way that maximizes your utility or your benefit from any purchase you make. I'm sure you can think internally and think of a time you had money and just spent it on something dumb or something that quickly satisfied you but left you feeling worse later on. And that's not completely rational. Rational consumers are stated to only do what's going to maximize their well-being. So in this case, a bigger economic example is if two of you were examining the question, is it worth cutting education spending to fund apprenticeships? You may come up with totally different but logical conclusions based on personal, social, and political opinions. So some people will buy things and think that they're worth the money. Other people will not. To go back to the PS5 example, people are buying PS5s at the moment for like $800, or they're buying them on the like second market for $1,500. To me, that seems crazy. In my opinion, like video games are cool and all, but in 3 years' time, a PS5 will be like $400 and the games will be half the price and they'll work really well. I might as well save that money and just wait. But that's my own personal opinions. Yours may differ. That's what normative economics looks at. Whereas positive economics looks completely at hard evidence that's actually the case. So it's, when A occurs, B will definitely happen as a result. So if the price of Coke at the canteen raised $10 a bottle, the demand would definitely decrease. Um, a similar summary example of this, when almost every business decreased frozen Cokes or Slurpees to $1, demand increased because it's so much cheaper. You can guarantee that's going to be the case. You could also say that as we go into summer, sales of ice cream will increase. It's a definite. A will cause B. So anytime where something will definitely cause something else, that's positive economics because that's based on hard evidence. And that's it for this first kind of introductory lesson. There are like really 3 different key introductory concepts. If you want to do any questions on this, there's going to be a link to a worksheet about it in the description below. But obviously, your teacher's probably got things for you to do as well. There's going to be a whole series of these videos for this first topic that will hopefully be in a playlist. If you have any questions at all, feel free to comment below or send me an email, as people tend to do. More than happy to help out. But other than that, I hope you have a wonderful day, and I will see you next time. Goodbye.